Brandis, fall is in the air and it's starting to look a bit like normal on college campuses across the state with the return of in-person classes and activities after nearly a year and a half. But what exactly has this transition from largely virtual to in-person learning been like? Here to discuss their experiences so far are Zoe Bridges, a senior at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and Cesar Siete, a senior at the University of Illinois at Chicago. Welcome both of you to Chicago tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And Zoe, I'll start with you. What has campus life been like since being back?
I think it's been a world of difference. Last year, it felt like a ghost town here. It was my first year as a transfer student. And this year I've just been blown away at how different campus life feels. All of my classes are full of real life people, not on Zoom. The streets are super crowded on weekend nights. It's been a total 180 from last year.
All right, Zoe, I'll put you on the spot here. How's the mask compliance among your fellow students, both in class and out on the street?
In class, the universities have been really good at forcing students to wear masks. I think most people are in compliance. Outside, it's kind of, I would say 50-50. There's students that wear their masks all the time and some that just, as soon as they exit a building, they'll take it off. So it's really just, it just depends on the student, but in buildings, it's good.
All right, Cesar, you're over at UIC, and as I understand, today is the second day of the Student Involvement Fair, where students can go sign up for various organizations. How's the turnout been?
Turnout's been way better than past years. It seems like a lot of people are excited for the involvement fair from when I first started. Other than that, everyone's been having fun for what I've seen. We've had a bigger crowd for multiple organizations on campus, but it's been a lot of fun.
And Cesar, I'll ask that same question to you. How's the mask compliance in class or out during extracurricular activities?
Same thing as Zoe, or UIC is making sure that everyone is being compliant for the mask in the buildings. But when it comes to outside, it is a 50-50 where some people have it, some people don't, but generally everyone tends to respect each other on that end.
All right, this is week 2 of classes for both of you. So Zoe, at U of I, what has the transition been like to go back to in-person when you've spent a lot of time virtual learning?
Yeah, it's a little hard to concentrate in class just because you're used to being in your room, during class. But I think overall, it's been really good for me. I think Zoom classes were really hard for me, like they were for many other people. So getting to be in the classroom, with a physical professor and students right next to me learning beside me has been really good.
Yeah, Zoom classes would be hard for me too, I think. Zoe, Cesar, UIC has been doing hybrid classes. How have those been?
For the most part, they've been pretty well. Like with Zoe, I am enjoying the in-person classes a lot more compared to Zoom, but we still do have some Zoom classes where a certain part of the class, let's say the discussion will be in person while the lecture will be online. So it just depends on what class you have.
And Cesar, do you notice any hesitancy among any students to go back into a crowded space, into a crowded classroom?
So recently, I've seen a lot of posts about students saying that some classes do seem a little packed, but for the most part, a lot of students, there's students that don't feel comfortable, and there's some students that do miss the whole point of having the luxury of being at home instead of traveling all the way to campus.
And Zoe, what is the University of Illinois' policy of spreading COVID information been like to students? Do you feel like you're informed and you know what the mitigation strategies are should there be an outbreak?
I think last year they were a lot more, the information was a lot easier to get. I feel like this year it hasn't really been talked about as much, especially in my classes, which was really surprising. But yeah, students aren't required to test anymore if they've been vaccinated. So it almost seems like COVID really isn't talked about a lot. So yeah.
Even though it's still, as we reported earlier today, the state saw 5,000 plus new COVID cases in the last 24 hours. Cesar, what about UIC? Are they communicating their COVID policies to you? And what happens if there is an outbreak in class or in a residence hall?
So when it comes to UIC, they've definitely let us know, with the library, you have to, in order to go in, you have to do a daily pass, which lets them know, oh, you're cleared to go into certain buildings. And then that's been done for most of my classes now, where a discussion, they'll let us know, oh, do a daily pass to see if you're able to go in. If not, you have an online option. But when it comes to letting us know if there's an outbreak or not, I feel like it'll be similar to a year and a half ago, where they'll send us emails saying, oh, this is going on, that this is happening. Other than that, the only thing they've done is the daily pass, where they'll let them know like, oh, is the student good or is the student not good to go in.
I see. Zoe, what's the conversation like among students and teachers regarding vaccines? Is it a topic you don't want to discuss or a topic everybody wants to discuss?
I think it hasn't been brought up a lot. I think for the most part, everybody kind of assumes everybody's been vaccinated. I think especially like in my group of friends, we've all been vaccinated. So it's kind of something that you kind of assume that if you're on campus that you've been vaccinated. But I know it's been a little tense with people that like are being forced or, asked to test 2 or 3 times a week if they haven't been vaccinated in order to get into the buildings.
Cesar, what about at UIC? Same thing, is it assumed that most of your peers are vaccinated, or is it something that you don't talk about much?
It's pretty much assumed that most of them are. There has been a conversation that has been brought up amongst my peers, but for the most part, everyone assumes that everyone's been vaccinated since everyone's been cleared to go to certain places.
All right, well, there's a lot to think about as you return to class. Good luck to both of you in your senior years. Enjoy that last year. It's great that you're back on campus and get to enjoy that. And thanks for joining us here.
Thank you.
Thank you.